Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Recently a friend of mine came back from her hometown and got me a gift. She got me a beautiful rug. Here it is. So I had seen a rug like this in her house and I had admired it, and she told me that when she goes home next time she's going to get me a rug. And this is the perfect gift for a yogi because um, rugs are used frequently in yoga practice, in the Iyengar yoga practice. In fact, any Iyengar yoga studio will have a bunch of rugs. They don't look like this. The formats differ. I have another one that I use. It's quite soft and it's nice, and it's very useful for the practice. So this is the perfect gift for a yogi. And in fact, I wanted to make a video about how you could use a rug to make your asanas better, to kind of be able to go deeper into the asana, to gain a better understanding of the asana. And that's what props are for. In Iyengar yoga, props are also considered teachers. And in fact, when you practice at the institute, the main institute in Pune, over there we're not even allowed to step on the rugs. Of course, different institutes have their own belief system and rules. However, when I practice at home, I sometimes do step on them. In fact, a few of the asanas which I want to demonstrate today, they are asanas where you will be putting your foot on top of the rug. So this video, I hope it helps. Basically, a lot of people have this idea that using props for the practice doesn't make sense because they are able to touch their toes or they're able to twist enough. But if you actually incorporate a few props into your practice, even for the asanas that you do know and that you are good at, you will see that it gives you a better understanding of the asana. And then your yoga practice actually does improve also. I found that in my practice. A lot of people would say that I'm quite flexible, but I always use props in my personal practice, and I practice Iyengar yoga with a teacher as well, so I always use props. For me, props are non-negotiable, and they're very useful. They give you a lot of insight. So this is going to be a collection of different asanas. The asanas that I'm going to be looking at today are we're going to start with the Uttanasana. Then I'm going to go into the triangle, warrior and side angle pose sequence and show you how to use this rug for that. Then I'm going to show you how I use the rug for the Anjaneya asana, and then transition into the Hanuman asana for that. Except I'm not really warmed up, so I don't think I can do the full Hanuman asana, but you'll at least get to see how you can use the rug for the Hanuman asana. And then finally I'm going to do the headstand and show you how we use the rug at the institute, when we practice the headstand. And finally the child's pose. That's a pose that's common across all yoga classes. And I see a lot of people are actually unable to kind of get into the child's pose, but the rug really helps. So let's get started. I hope this video really does help a lot of you. So the first pose that we're going to do is the Uttanasana. That's a logical pose to start with because it helps in opening up the hamstrings and helps in developing more flexibility in the lower body. And the Uttanasana is usually the first pose that you should do in any yoga class. So this is the rug. As you can see, it's folded in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it like another 4, and then once again, and then I'm going to kind of roll it. So the way I want to use this rug for the Uttanasana is for it to help me in opening up the hamstrings and the back of the legs a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it till it's a comfortable position. So if you see, I can actually stand with my heels on the floor and the toes up on the rug, and I can actually maintain my balance. So if it's too, if the level of the roll, if it's too high, then you won't be able to keep your balance, and if it's too less, then you won't feel a stretch. So this is a good height for me, and I have my feet apart. So when you practice the Uttanasana in this way and you bend forward, you'll feel an additional stretch on the back of the legs, on the hamstrings. Simply because you're actually extending the soles of the feet also. You're actually extending the back of the calves also. So you can hold this and you get a really good stretch. Also, holding it for a longer time actually helps you in intensifying the stretch. So you actually don't have to do a lot of work. It's just by virtue of the height that you're putting the balls of your feet on that you get a great stretch. Now, for the Trikonasana warrior and side angle transition, you can keep the rug folded in the same way. And the way I use it is, again, I'll place it on the floor, and the leg which is supposed to go out, I'm going to step on just the toes on top of the mat, on top of the rolled up rug. And then I'm going to take the other leg back just like I would in regular Trikonasana. Take your hands up, take your hands out to the sides, and then you come down. So what happens is, for a lot of practitioners, it's difficult to extend the hamstrings, to actually be able to reach the hamstrings and the inner groin when they're practicing the Trikonasana. And what this does is, by virtue of the lift, it helps in extending the muscles even more. So if you hold this, you'll actually feel a difference. If you try this, you'll actually feel a difference between this and when your foot is just flat on the floor. Sometimes when the foot is flat on the floor, it's difficult to actually activate and engage the muscles. This makes it a lot more easy. And in the same way, you go into your warrior pose. So the same thing, and kind of bend as much as you can till the thigh is parallel to the floor. And again, because the foot is elevated, it helps in engaging and using the muscles even more. And the same thing, side angle, you're going to place your hands, one hand down and the other hand up. And again, the stretch that you get in this is also a lot more intense. And then you can come up. Now, because the rug is soft and it can give cushioning, I like to use this, and in fact my teacher in Bangalore also uses it when we do the Anjaneya asana. So you can just use it as cushioning when you practice asanas where your knees are on the floor and can potentially get bruised. I have bruised knees, and I get bruised all the time when I practice because the mat is just really hard for me, and because the mat sits directly on the floor, it's really hard. So what I do is, when I practice the Anjaneya asana, I unroll the mat, and you can keep it like a quarter fold, and then bring the one leg forward, and the back knee you can actually rest it, and it gives you a sense of comfort, and also it kind of like really gives a nice cushioning effect, and because it's so soft, you feel that you can actually come down a lot more. Otherwise, if I don't use a mat, my focus is just on how much it hurts, how much the knee hurts, and it makes it very unpleasant to practice the Anjaneya asana without a mat. And the same thing with Hanuman asana. If you guys have seen one of my recent videos that I think I put it up on Instagram, I have a rug under the back knee, because even in the Hanuman asana, if you notice, the back knee can be quite it's quite stressed. I mean, in the sense that you're placing it on the floor and you're kind of leaning into it to stretch the front leg forward. Actually, in the Hanuman asana, the knees are supposed to be above the floor, but I find if you really want to kind of coax your body into the Hanuman asana, it helps to have something under your knee, to kind of cushion you and make you feel safe also. Similarly, in the camel pose, when I have my classes in the park, I always tell my students to fold the mat, so that you have cushioning. But otherwise, if you have a rug, it's the best option. You can actually place your knees on the rug, and it enables you to really stretch back even more than you would if you were on the just plain on the mat. And you can actually focus on just rolling and focus on kind of rolling the thighs in and going back. So that's also another way of using the rug. And it may not seem like it, when you look at the different variations of the asanas, it may not seem like the rug is helping or the props are helping, but believe me, when you practice with the props and without the props, it makes a huge difference. So now let me show you how to do a headstand using the rug. In Pune, in the institute, we always have a rug. We never practice the headstand on the bare mat or on the floor. We always have a little bit of cushioning, and you place the rug like this on one half of the mat, and then you kind of fold the other half on top, and then you can do your headstand. So what this does is, again, it makes you feel a lot better, more comfortable with your head being on the floor, and it's easier to come up also. So in this, when I practice it like this, I find that my arms are more stable. I find that my elbows don't hurt so much, and it helps in the alignment, the overall alignment of the headstand also. And then you can come down. And finally, the last one is for your child's pose. Now, a lot of people, when you go into the child's pose, you'll notice that you cannot sit all the way back. It happens in the Vajrasana also. In fact, there's so many asanas for which you could use use a rug. But I'm going to talk about child's pose because that's a pose that you have in every single class. So, if you find that you can't actually sit all the way down, or even with the knees apart, if you feel that you're kind of coming forward, you can't push your hips back, what you can do is you can roll up this mat. I keep on saying mat, I mean rug, and place it on top of the calves. And then you can actually sit down, and you'll be able to actually make contact, make contact with the mat, and then the mat also gently pushes into the calves, and it gives you additional relaxation on the legs. And it actually allows your tailbone and your entire spine to rest because, with something to rest on, your spine is not just hanging in the air, and it gets a sense of comfort and gets a sense of relief. So, and you can actually extend your back even more when you do this, when you have something under your hips. So yeah, these were a few asanas, a few varied asanas. We did some standing poses, we did a back bend, we did the headstand, child's pose, a few asanas which you can see can really benefit from the use of a prop. So that's the beauty of Iyengar yoga. That's why I really love the practice, because I find that regardless of what your level of fitness or level of flexibility it is, using simple, easy, everyday props can make all the asanas accessible to you. And even if you feel that you're able to get into an asana, I would suggest that you try it with a prop, because the feeling with a prop is completely different. And if you have any questions, if there's an asana that you have a question about, or if you want to know how to do it, using some prop, let me know, and I'll see if I can help you with that. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave me a message or send me an email. And don't forget to subscribe